Hello, welcome to the Rhythm of Podcast, the Voice of the People series. Thank you so much for joining. And we have with us this morning, we have Timothy Ernst, who's the Director of Human Resources for the East and Westbrook Construction Company. And so we're excited to have you this morning, Timothy. And thanks so much for joining. And to get us started, just want you to share with us a little bit about you and your organizations and how you all are making everything operate.
Sure. So I have been in the human resources area for 27 or 28 years. I've actually lost count. I've worked in manufacturing, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in food distribution, and then for the last six, almost 7 years, I've been with East and Westbrook Construction. Um, this company has a very interesting story to tell. It's a privately held, family run construction company that's been in business since 1977. When I came on board, I was really the first human resources professional hired into a role such as this. And at the time, there were 85 men and women that were a part of this company. Today, we're over 300 team members. We have offices in our corporate offices in Buckner, Kentucky. We also have offices in West Virginia, Florida, and Tennessee. So, as I like to tell people, we're going to take over the world one construction site at a time.
Yeah, that is, you're speaking my language right there. So don't go there because I'll stay with you all day, man. Uh, so tell me a little bit about, you mentioned just earlier before we started, the culture there. How do you all build this culture that you're excited about?
So, first, I think it really kind of starts with the fact that, we have a very well versed team of leaders. Sometimes when you get into an organization, individuals start to get titles. They start to believe that they're bigger than what they really are. I think the first thing that we really do is we're very humble. We have seven core values that really kind of guide everything that we do:
Mm.
safety, quality, performance, dependability, attitude, professionalism, and service. Now, every construction company out there is going to tell you, hey, we're going to do a job safe, we're going to produce a quality product, and we're going to exceed the customer's expectations.
Mhm.
But where the rubber meets the road for us is dependability, attitude, professionalism, and service. And that's the thing that really kind of sets us apart.
Mhm.
We value people for who they are. We value people for what they bring to the table. Um, One of the things that I always tell individuals that walk through the door: stay hungry, stay humble. If you feel like that you have learned everything that there is to learn in this industry, you are going to miss something.
Yeah.
Our goal is to bring people in, maximize their potential, and grow their skill sets.
Wow. Excellent. I tell you what, I love the value piece of what you shared. If you can stay true to your core, you can grow a culture. So thank you for that. As
What
you
was it, Peter Drucker, that said that, uh, you know, I'm all of a sudden drawing a blank on the quote: culture eats strategy for
Yeah,
lunch.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. And so when you say that you have gone from 80 plus to over 300 employees, and you got this changing dynamic of the workplace, how are you all attracting and retaining employees in multiple locations as well?
from a recruitment perspective, I'm aggressive. I'm not going to let grass grow. If someone sends us a resume and they express interest, we're reaching out probably within 12 hours, because construction right now is such a hot. It's just a hot area.
Yes, it is.
These guys that apply for these jobs, we're not the only game in town. Um, if we don't hire them, there's three other people out there that will. So I'm not going to let grass grow when it comes to reaching out and talking with these team members. Um, you know, I think a lot of us are raised to believe that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Mhm.
So, from the moment somebody sends us a resume, we're staying in contact with them through the interview process, through the onboarding process, all the way up through orientation. They're never left as though that they're on an island by themselves. So we're constantly engaging and re-engaging with them. uh, the first 90 days that a team member is brought into the fold here at East Westbrook Construction, they're known as Team Green. And what Team Green basically is it's like, hey, these are the new folks. They're learning the company, they're learning the culture, they're learning the values. Let's keep an eye out for them and let's do everything that we can to help them be successful. We're constantly, every 2 weeks, we're giving them feedback. Here's the things that you are doing really, really well. And then here's the things that where we feel like you probably need to step up, or we're going to start helping you to get better, stronger, faster.
Mm.
I think the other thing that's really kind of unique about our organization is I'm okay with a little higher turnover in the first 90 days, because I understand that just because you have a great organization, we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Sure.
But I can show you statistically that once somebody has made it a full year at East Westbrook, I'm going to have them for a lifetime. And our onboarding process is a full year. So multiple touch points, constantly engaging, constantly providing feedback. So that first 90 days is really just the first piece of a much broader picture called onboarding.
Wow. Well, you basically answered the next question, but if you want to elaborate, how you're building engagement is really impressive, and that staying with employees is very impressive. Anything else that you do with respect to building engagement? Because again, you know that there's a strong correlation between engagement and organizational performance.
Correct.
Uh,
So for us, it's about you got to simplify the process. So there's a lot of different apps that we can use from a communication perspective. We've brought in updated HRIS systems. So our team members, they have a way of staying in constant touch with us. And that's one of the things that I really think makes us unique as an organization. Construction doesn't just take place in our backyard. It's not like a manufacturing facility where I can walk out on a field and everybody on the first shift is right there. Um, you know, we'll work pretty much anywhere in the lower 48. And so you want team members to feel as though they are still connected to something that is really great. Um, and so I think that's one of the things that we do very, very well. So again, the use of apps, we've started to go with a lot more of the face-to-face style of communication. So we leverage tech, Zoom, MS Teams, to do meetings and stuff like that. We also, the core values of the company, that is really the litmus test.
yeah.
It's the filter that we use. If it does not work within the core values of the company, we're not doing it. It's that's one of the things that I think is probably very, very refreshing about working for an organization such as this. A lot of organizations, they have their mission, their vision, their values, they put them in these frames, and they're designed to make you feel good and you pump up your chest when you walk past them. But this is an organization that, if you want to know who we are, if you want to know what makes us tick, that's the secret sauce.
Wow. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. I fully align with all of that, Timothy. Think about the great things that you're doing. When there is conflict, how do you all manage that? Leaders make decisions. Some employees may or may not agree. How do you all manage through conflict?
So for us, it's so we have and this is a dynamic that we just really kind of went to, and we're still kind of navigating some of this as well. I think the first thing is, number one, we're all humble enough to sit there and say, look, there's no playbook. If you go back to COVID, when COVID hit, there was no playbook on how to be an effective leader or how to do your job. I think there's a study and a couple of books that are gonna come out from people looking back and really asking the question of what was or what is effective. Because I think it really kind of turned things, leadership and management as we know it, kind of upside down. Now, there were a lot of the core principles of leadership that really hey, they passed the litmus test. So for us, from a communication perspective, we have our executive team. We have a senior leadership team. When we're in those meetings, look, anything that happens, it stays in those four walls.
Mm.
When we walk out, we are aligned. We are standing shoulder to shoulder, eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap. We are aligned. Um, you know, the other thing is you've got to be able to listen. There's a difference between hearing and listening. And one of the things that I think we do very, very well is we give individuals the opportunity to be heard. They may not understand. Let's sit down. Let's listen. Let's hear what you have to say. Help us understand, why is it causing a pain point. There have been things that we've done, and it's like, you know what, maybe that wasn't a good idea. You fall on your sword. Hey guys, we made a mistake. Here's the mistake. Here's how we've learned from it. Here's what we're prepared to do going forward. So, um, you have open, honest communication with people, but there's a humility there. I'm a big believer that you treat every team member as if they're the president of the company. I don't care what someone's education is. I don't care what someone knows, doesn't know. Uh, First and foremost, they're a human being. They have to be treated with dignity and respect.
Wow, wow. That solves it all right there. I'm telling you, Timothy. So when you think about the changes that's happening in your world, and there's three other construction companies out there that anyone can go to, how do you all manage change as you're looking at the dynamics of the construction business, just business in general? How do you all manage?
You have to give people, it's the old Kubler-Ross on death and dying. You have to give people the opportunity to kind of greed and the gnashing of teeth. But the other part of it is too, is you communicate, communicate, communicate. Probably when you think you've communicated enough, you've just started communicating.
Wow.
Um, and so for us, as we go through change, I mean, this is an organization that literally in just the last year alone has probably seen more change than most companies that I've worked for in my past. Anytime you expansion has a way of showing you where you're really, really good, but it's also going to show you all your warts and all the things you don't do so well. And what we do is we kind of lean into subject matter experts. If we find somebody out there that can do it or can do it right, come on in. We want you to be a part of the team. We want you to help us move this ship in the right direction.
Wow.
Um, as you start to talk about concepts at the executive level, you go through that grieving process much faster as it starts to go down the chain of command. Where this group may be already ready to move forward, this group is just starting to deal with that. And just being aware of that whole process and how that works, giving people their space. But then there comes a point in time where it's like, all right, guys, you know what? New day. We're ready to move forward. Let's go.
No. And Timothy, this is not one of my prepared questions, but since you said I can't throw you off, I'm really intrigued and I'm really impressed with your story, how you share it, especially as an HR professional. But how do you give voice to your people? It seems as though you all have done a lot of good things. How do you give voice to your people so they feel that same value as you're sharing?
How do you not give voice to people? There's fewer of us with a title, manager, director, VP. We don't, if anybody thinks that just because you have a title, you've got all the answers, man, you're making a huge mistake if you don't listen to what people have to say. There's stories throughout this organization of individuals that have come in at a craft level and have elevated themselves up into project management or senior project management roles. Um, John Westbrook, when he founded this company, he said, you can have any job in this company that you want. You just have to prove to me that you can do it. Um, and that's really been sort of a foundational principle of everything that we've ever done. I think if we don't take the time to listen to people, they're
Mm.
going to go someplace where they're going to be heard. Um, you know, national trends say that turnover within the construction industry is in that, 55 to 65% range. We're slightly lower than that. I'm still not happy with the fact that we're slightly lower than that. I'd like to be significantly lower than that. So it tells me that as an organization, there's still things that we can grow and improve upon. As I always tell people, the day I'm done learning is the day they're lowering me 6 feet into a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
If you look over my left shoulder, you can see I got a bookshelf full of books back there. I've read every one of them. And that's something that I am always doing. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to improve myself.
Mhm.
And we're really kind of motivating people to do the same thing, to grow themselves and move forward.
One final question. If you're talking to these leaders out there in different organizations, not construction, because you want your competitors to exceed as well, but how do you help an organization understand this is how we make it work? Here's a challenge. Here's things I would suggest you do as you're looking at building a organization where people have voice and you find that rhythm.
Listen, first and foremost, don't judge. There's only one man I know that can judge, and they nailed him to a tree. So, you got to stay hungry and humble. Be willing to listen. Appreciate people for what they bring to the table. Understand generationally, the younger generations coming in, they're motivated by things that are very different than I'm a Gen Xer by birth. They're motivated by things that are very different from my generation, or even the generation that preceded me, or the generation that's coming after me. But I think the key is just educate yourself. Be aware of what it takes to be able to be a good leader. Be aware of what it takes to be able to be a good motivator. Um, Uplift people whenever possible. It's okay. You don't have to have all the answers. True leaders understand that they may not know it all. Find people out there that you can lean into. Find people out there that can help pull you up.
Wow. Wow. Timothy, I'm telling you, man, I could talk to you all day long. I'm telling you, you're singing
There's a
my
little bit of passion there. Can you tell?
just a little bit, and you're pulling at me, man. So I appreciate that. Really, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And to our audience, this is Timothy Ernst. He's the Director of Human Resources for the East and Westbrook Construction Company out of the greater Louisville area, Buckner, Kentucky, and West Virginia, Tennessee, and one other state.
Florida.
Florida, wow, or any of the lower 48. If you're looking for someone that can give you insight and thoughts to understand how to be more effective for your people, reach out to Timothy Ernst. I mean, I'm sure he would give you 5 minutes of his time to give you some thoughts. So, Timothy, thank you so much to the audience. Thank you for listening. This is Dr. Terry Daniels, who is host of the Rhythm of Business podcast, the Voice of the People series. Thank you so much, and hope you come back and join us again. Have a good one.